Hey guys, it's Alex from 7th Hour Films, back again with another review. Almost had another episode of Doctor Who, but nope, not today, because I guess it's Sunday when this is going out. That's better. There's a little speck over here of this. You could just barely see this box, and that was going to annoy me, so yeah. So today I'm bringing you a review of Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5, the English dub. Let me say that right up front for those of you, because for those of you that have seen Arc 5 in the sub, you're going to know that Arc 5 ended, what is it, almost a year ago now? I don't know if it's been that long per se, but it was a while ago. It was a while back when it ended, but the dub just finished up, and I'm a dub guy. I pretty much only watch dubs. So, yeah, I'm going to be reviewing the dub of Arc 5, and I don't know how long this is going to be. It's probably going to be long because I have a lot of topics to go through. I'm going through the entire show. But, yeah, so I'm going to try to go through this as fast as possible, but most likely that's not going to happen. So, yeah. But let's just get into this. Let's not waste any more time. Let's get cracking. Here's Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5. Alright, so the first thing to talk about, I basically broke this series up into 4 arcs, basically. The standard arc, or I guess honestly I'd put that, I guess in the title, it's more of the Arc League. Oh, nope. Arc League. There we go. Because I'm pretty sure it's called the Arc League. Now I gotta look that up. Yeah, the Arc League Championship. Okay. So, we're gonna talk about the Arc League first. This basically encompasses the show until they go to Synchro. So that's a lot of episodes, but yeah, I'm just going to be hitting a couple points on here, and then we're going to move on. The first thing to talk about is, I mean, I'm not going to talk about the whole world in general. I'm going to assume you've watched the show, so I'm just going to be hitting some points, not all of them. The first thing that I'm going to talk about is the Lancers, and when I say Lancers, I'm just going to talk about the characters. So, I wonder if I could even pull up a list of the Lancers. Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5 Lancers. Okay. So yeah, to quickly go through some of the Lancers. Start off, Yuya, our main character. Yuya, and I'm going to talk about him throughout the entire video, obviously, but I feel like Yuya started out really strong, then kind of took a dive, and then came back up. But I don't think he ever got as good as he was in this first arc. I think this first arc in the Arc League tournament, he was probably at his best. Like, he wasn't questioning everything. He was really just trying to dual-tane, which is a concept that kind of gets annoying later when they just keep hammering it in, but overall, dual-taning is okay. I like Yuya. I think he's a good main character, I will say. I just don't think he's, well, I don't know. Like, when you look at all the main characters, I don't know where he would rank necessarily. Because really, among all 5 of the main characters, and I haven't seen any of Vrain's because it hasn't been dubbed yet, and when you just look at the first 5, there are no bad ones, but there are definitely better ones. So I don't think I would put Yuya among the top tier, I guess. Yuya, I would probably place above Yusei. Now, when I say that, some of you who have seen 5Ds, and you're like, oh my gosh, Yusei is so amazing, I don't see how you could put Yuya above him. I don't think that Yusei is that amazing. I think he's fine. I thought he was a little bland, and he really didn't go through any character arcs. Which is honestly why I would put Yuya above him, because Yuya would occasionally get annoying, and I'll talk about this in the next, when we talk about the next saga, but honestly, for the most part, Yuya's okay, and he does go through different stories and different character arcs, and it's nice. So, yeah. Next up is his friend Gong Strong. Gong... The problem... Okay, so here's the thing about the Lancers, is that the new characters, and we're going to talk about older characters later, but the newer characters don't do much, honestly. Which is strange, because they do a lot more, like all the side characters do a lot more than side characters have ever done in Yu-Gi-Oh! So it's interesting. Gong starts off as this heavy, strong duelist. He kind of stays that heavy, strong duelist. I don't think he really goes through a character arc at all. He's just kind of there, and he duels. He's fun. I like him. It's a fun personality and stuff. And he does work, like, it works when he's, like, playing off of other people. Especially, the next one, Sylvio. Sylvio also doesn't do a whole lot, honestly. I'd say... I don't know. Sylvio, well, at first he was kind of just a nuisance, because he kept trying to beat Yuya. But then, when he just became an ally, I liked him. I thought he was fun. He's very pathetic, but he doesn't realize he's pathetic, which is kind of fun. Those are always kind of a fun character. It's like, they're so pathetic, but they don't realize they're pathetic. They think they're the best around. So, I'd say Sylvio is pretty fun. The others, this isn't a great list. I pulled up the Yu-Gi-Oh! Wiki, and there's just a picture of all of them, but it's technically not all of them. Well, I mean, alright, so the big thing about this show is that it technically takes place across 4 dimensions. So there's the standard dimension, which the show starts off with, the Synchro Dimension, where they all synchro summon, the Xyz Dimension, and the Fusion Dimension. And the Fusion Dimension is basically waging a war on all the other dimensions, which we'll kind of talk about that later. So yeah. So we get characters from other dimensions, which is really cool. One of them being Shay. Shay is fun. I'd say he's a good character. The only thing is... well, I don't know. He might be underused, now that I think about it, because honestly, I'm trying to think back to, like, all of Arc 5, which can be kind of difficult, but honestly, I would say that Shay was really good, maybe a tiny bit underused, but, you know. Alright. So Shay is from the Xyz Dimension. He has his friend Yuto, and it's a kind of a big thing. Is like, oh, he looks exactly like Yuya. He doesn't. They kind of make it look like his and Yuya's face are pretty much the same, but they're really, I don't know. It's hard to like see the similarities between them, which is a running thing, but whatever. So yeah, Yuto is pretty cool. He kind of is taken out of the picture really fast. Yeah, he's taken out of the picture in the first like 30 episodes, and then he sort of becomes the spirit companion, which Yu-Gi-Oh loves doing that. You know, we had the Pharaoh and Yugi as spirit companions. You go later in GX, you get Yubel. In Zexal, you get Astral. Now, this, sort of the spirit companion to Yuya is Yuto. So yeah. Another Lancer we get is Selena. She's from the Fusion Dimension, and I guess basically Selena is the doppelganger of Zuzu, who I haven't talked about yet, but Zuzu is basically the main girl, basically. She does not get enough in this show at all. She's criminally underused because she's kidnapped a lot. And basically the point is they have to keep going and finding her in these other dimensions. So while she's getting kidnapped, her doppelganger Selena is actually there and helping out, and she's really fun. She's kind of like almost a polar opposite to Zuzu. You know, she's a bit, I don't want to say meaner, but she's a bit tougher, I guess. So yeah. Oy. So yeah. And then kind of, I don't really know. There's a couple on here. I'm not going to talk about every single thing about Arc 5, because there's not a lot to talk about, but the last Lancer, I guess, I'll talk about is Declan Acaba, because he's basically the rival of this show. I put that in quotes because in Yu-Gi-Oh! There's always a rival. Seto Kaiba is Yugi's rival. It's debatable who's really the rival in GX. Some say Chaz, some say Zane. Either way, there is a rival. In 5Ds, it's Jack. In Zexal, it's Kite. You could even argue that Shark is a rival too. In this, technically, Declan is the rival to Yuya, and we'll kind of talk about that at the end of the video. But yeah, I'd say they're not really rivals. They don't go through the whole thing with rivalry. They don't really have a rivalry, is the thing. They duel all of, like, maybe 2 times, 3, once you get to the end. But, yeah, Declan is basically sort of the leader of the Lancers, and this guy's really cool. Like, I really like Declan. Yeah, I kind of wish he got used more, but I almost wonder if it's hard to write duels with his deck, because he uses a triple D deck, which is the most, like, combo-heavy deck I've ever seen. Like, with Yuya, like, Yuya pulls out a lot of combos with his Odd Eyes deck, which is actually the deck that I run. So, if you see, it's probably an iCard. I've done 2 Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro videos where I've done Odd Eyes stuff. I like the Odd Eyes deck. So, anyway. But the Triple D deck is very, very complicated, so I'm wondering if they just didn't talk about him, or they didn't have him duel more, because it's kind of hard to write for. I don't know, that's just a crazy theory. And then, I guess the last thing to talk about this arc is the Arc League. Excuse me. It's getting hair in my mouth. It's, now that it's spring, I mean, I guess it's been spring for a little while, but my dog is shedding like crazy, so I'm constantly like brushing his hair out of my hair and stuff. So I've got like a bunch of his hairs on my shirt right now. So yeah. Anyway, the last thing I guess I can talk about again is the Arc League. Doesn't really leave an impression. It kind of just ends abruptly, and yeah, that's kind of it. And I guess the other character I could talk about is Sora. Sora, who has sort of a major. He's a major character in the plot in the first season, but after that he's kind of gone. I'd say he was really good. Again, he's kind of underused. It's like they kind of bring him back. There's a whole twist that he's actually a bad guy. He's from the Fusion Dimension, and he's, you know, one of the soldiers for Professor Acaba, who is Declan's father. That's another thing I could talk about. But so that's a big twist, that Sora is basically like betraying them. And then Sora comes back, and that's just kind of over. They never really talk about it again. It's just, oh, Sora's here, and he's going to help. Well, okay, whatever. We'll take him. So, yeah. And then the Arc League, again. Arc League just kind of ends. Like, the Obelisk Force from the Fusion Dimension comes and attacks, and then they beat him, and it's like, okay, well, we're going to leave now. Bye. End of tournament. So, yeah. The next thing to talk about is the Synchro Dimension. This takes forever I think this might have the longest arc. I don't know. I think I heard it's like 55 episodes. It's a long time, and it's not really good. I will say the Synchro Dimension is the worst part of the show. Yuya, this is Yuya's dive into not being good, because he's constantly like depressed and worried about Zuzu because she was kidnapped, and he's questioning everything. And I guess this is it's a character arc, which is good, but at the same time, sometimes it gets annoying at a point because he keeps saying, and I'm gonna do an impression of Yuya because throughout this whole show, because of how long it's been going, I've sort of developed a Yuya impression because it's fun. But when he's just sitting there and he's just like, dueling is supposed to be fun, but this isn't fun at all. It's like, this goes on for 55 episodes, and it's crazy, man. I can't take it. This is crazy. Okay, so some other stuff about Synchro. The main bad guy is Roger. It's like Jean-Michel Roger. He doesn't do anything. He didn't do anything until like the end. He is basically another agent of fusion, and he was sent there to take control of the Synchro Dimension. That's kind of it. He's the head of sector security, which makes him like a boring... It just makes him like a boring Goodwin from 5Ds. He's really not that great. He's voiced by Pegasus from the original series, so that's kind of neat. Just makes me wish we were watching Pegasus. The last thing I could talk about Roger is that at the end of the Synchro arc, he finally duels someone. He basically only has one duel, and he's the main villain. He gets one duel, and he duels Declan. And I told you Triple Ds have this crazy, combo system. Well, basically, Roger cheats in his duels. So basically, to make sure that he wins, anytime his life points hit 0, he comes back. He intrudes on his own duel, and he has an intrusion penalty of 2,000 life points, and he just keeps coming back. He comes back in, and the duel continues as if he never lost, basically. And the way he's doing this is that it's all holograms. So when you destroy one hologram, just another one comes in, intrudes on the duel, and beats you. This basically, it keeps going until Roger beats you. So Declan, immediately when he starts doing this to Declan catches him in a loop, which is amazing. It's pretty much like the best moment of Arc 5 is the loop that Declan puts him in, where basically Declan keeps activating these effects in sequence so that Roger will lose 2,000 life points. And Roger only has 2,000 life points, and so he loses all of them and he gets blasted away. And then Roger comes back in, another hologram comes in, and suffers the intrusion penalty of 2,000 life points, which puts him at 2,000 life points. So, Declan activates the effect again, knocks him out to 0, and this can just keep going forever and ever. So, it's the best part of the show. It's so fun. It's so funny that Declan just immediately put him into a loop like that, and I love that. The other things I can talk about in Synchro, Yugo, we get the Synchro Dimension doppelganger of Yuya. Yugo, he's kind of, I think, what Yuya should have been. He's definitely like the more fun protagonist, which is interesting. Yeah, he's very funny, he's very goofy and stuff, and I like him. But I guess, I don't know. Moving on, we have two characters returning from Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. We have Jack Atlas and Crow Hogan, I think is his name. and they come back. They're fun. I really liked them in 5D, so it's nice that they brought them back. Jack Atlas kind of takes the role of the rival. He's honestly more of a rival to Yuya than Declan is, and they basically bookend the Synchro Dimension arc with a duel with Jack Atlas, so that's really cool. And there's this one scene in particular I really love with Jack. It's like a dinner between Jack Atlas, Declan Acaba, and Declan's little brother Riley, who we'll talk about a bit later. And I don't even remember what it is, but basically it just amounted to, well, because Riley is very quiet, he's very shy, and he's very, timid, and so Jack Atlas is just like, well, if you're going to be a Lancer, you've got to have grit. And it's just this fun, interesting conversation between all of them, and I just want the show to be about Jack Atlas and Declan. So that's basically that. Moving on. There is another tournament in Synchro, the Friendship Cup. It's okay. Not great. We bring back turbo dueling from 5Ds, which is ridiculous. Card games on motorcycles, but when you look past it, it's whatever. The Friendship Cup lasts most of the Synchro Dimension arc, and so I feel like it just suffers from the problems of this arc. That's basically it. There was another thing I wanted to talk about, but now that I look at it, I don't care enough to talk about it. It's not important. So we're gonna move on to the Fusion arc. Is that right? Is that where we've? Yeah. All right. So we're on to the Fusion arc, which actually starts in the Xyz Dimension. We spend like 3 episodes in the Xyz Dimension. I think it's more than that. I think it's like 8 episodes maybe, but it's not long at all. In the Xyz Dimension, we meet Kite from Zexal. He's awesome. It's great to have him back, and he's got his Galaxy Eyes Cypher Dragon. That's my best Kite impression. We get the return of Aster Phoenix from Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. He's okay. I don't think he's the best character you could have brought back from GX. GX kind of gets snuffed in this show. Like, there's a lot of Synchro, there's even a lot of Xyz, honestly, but there's not enough stuff from GX. Like, I feel like you could have picked any other character from GX to replace Aster, and they would have been better. I'm thinking Chaz Princeton, Zane Truesdale, Bastion Misawa, someone. Any of them would have been better than Aster Phoenix, but he's okay, I guess. I suppose to kind of go with that, they also bring back Alexis from GX. She does nothing. She has one duel with some random fusion grunts, and that's about it. She really doesn't do anything, so she is like really criminally underused. It's ridiculous. Yeah, I just feel like GX got the shaft when it came to representation, which is strange because the original series is also not represented in this. But I mean, the thing is, they were doing Dark Side of Dimensions at this time, and there was really no specific card type that they could have brought the original cast members back for. Plus, there's not that many duelists you could have brought back. Like, you could have brought back Kaiba and Joey from the original series, and that's about it. GX at least had a plethora of characters that you could have brought back. In fact, there's a bunch of characters in the show that you could have replaced easily. Like, there's this one guy, he's kind of frantic, kind of erratic, and is that the right word? I don't even know. He's kind of a spaz, and he's like a higher up in the for Duel Academy. He could have easily been Professor Crowler or Dr. Crowler. Jeez, excuse me. I'm sorry. I really messed that up because he is a doctor. He has a PhD in dueling, and if If you're watching this and you've never seen Yu-Gi-Oh, first off, congratulations on making it this far in the video. But go watch Yu-Gi-Oh. It's really, really good. All of them. I don't care how long it takes you. Go watch all of it. It'll go great with the other shows I've forced you to watch, like Dragon Ball and the Arrowverse and stuff like that. So try to fit it in if you have time. All of Yu-Gi-Oh. Original series, GX, 5Ds, even though I don't really care for 5Ds, Zexal, which is better than everyone says, and Arc 5, and then Vrains when that comes out, and watch the dubs. I mean, I'm not saying don't watch the subs. If you're a sub person, go watch whatever you want, honestly. But don't pass up the dubs because you hear they're bad. I'm telling you right now, the dubs are good. Don't let anyone else tell you differently. So now that I've gotten on that little tangent, yeah. But yeah, there's you know there's that guy who could have easily been Crowler. There's these twins. There are these twin duelists from the Fusion Dimension. They could have been replaced with anyone, honestly. They didn't even have to be twins. Just GX characters that were more interesting. But yeah. We also get, in this arc, the fusion doppelganger of Yuya, which is Yuri. He's the evil one of the 4 Yuya doppelgangers. He works for Fusion. He works with Duel Academy, which is a plot hole, which I'll talk about in a second. He's kind of fun. He's very crazy, and yeah, he's fun. He's okay. I like him. The next thing to talk about is the professor, the big bad of this whole show, Leo Acaba. He kind of sucks. So basically, he gives this whole backstory of when all the dimensions were one. It was just a dimension. And he created this solid vision technology so that holograms were pretty much real. Like, anything that was projected was just real, which is crazy. And there were a lot of duels, a lot of fun duels, and there was this one duelist who became super popular. His name was Zark. And Zark basically kept winning duels and made them huger and bigger, fun duels so that all the people would be happy. Problem is, the people started demanding more violent duels. More and more violence and violence and violence because it was all real. It was all there. You could just watch all this carnage and stuff. And Zark didn't want to disappoint the crowd, so he kept doing it, and he kept doing these violent acts. And it eventually drove him insane, to the point where he used the solid vision technology to fuse himself with his 4 dragons from his deck. And so Zark goes completely balls to the wall crazy, and Leo, in that dimension, is like, okay, I gotta stop this guy. I've created 4 cards that will end him. Well, Leo's daughter, Rei Acaba, actually takes the cards and goes and duels Zark herself. And eventually, when she plays the 4 cards, she splits up she splits up the dimension into 4. Standard, Xyz, Fusion, and Synchro. And with that, Zark is split into 4 people. Yuya, Yugo, Yuto, and Yuri. Whereas Rei is split into 4 people as well. Zuzu, Selena, Rin, who I believe is from the Synchro Dimension, and Lulu from the Xyz Dimension, who I really didn't talk about because they don't show up until like the last couple episodes. I'm exaggerating, but they really don't play a big part in this. So yeah. So Leo Acaba now wants to bring all 4 dimensions together. Okay? Because he wants to harness enough energy to basically put the 4 girls back together into Rei. Okay. However, by doing this, it brought all 4 of the Yuyas together. Okay. And because of this project, because he wants to do this, this is going to bring back Zark. Starting to see a couple holes in his plan. Yeah. So he does all this for his daughter, which I guess is a good enough villain plan. But the problem is Zark. He knows Zark is going to come back, and he's been trying to eliminate Yuya and the others so that Zark will never refuse. Now the problem with that is he already has Yuri. Yuri is a piece of Zark. Do something with Yuri first before you do anything with this whole dimension reforming. Before you do anything about this war, do something about Yuri. Yuri is a piece of Zark. Without Yuri, there is no Zark. So, yeah. But instead, Yuri is like his top duelist. Why? Why did you do that? Why on earth would you do that? So, yeah. Leo Acaba sucks as a villain. He really does suck. He gets 1 duel, really... Well, I guess he gets 2, but... He gets 1 duel as a villain, and... It's not that interesting, and at this point, Zark is about to be reborn. So, yeah, that's Leo. So now we get to what I call the Zark Saga. This is basically the rest of the show, is dealing with Zark, because guess what? Zark is back. Zark is a lot of fun. I heard a lot of people say when the sub came out, when people watched the sub, they were like, Zark, he's disappointing, Ray is disappointing, Leo is disappointing, it's just a disappointing ending. Like, there's nothing good about it. And then when I watched the dub, Zark was fun. He was crazy and funny. He's always got a smile on his face. He's always like, I want to have fun. So I'm having fun by killing everyone. This is fun. So it's very strange, but yeah, Zark is really fun. He kind of makes the last couple episodes of this show because he's just fun. Now, when Zark shows up, basically all the Lancers challenge him to a duel. Kind of. It's not like 11 people come in to duel one guy, but instead, excuse me, my throat is getting sore. We're going to try to wrap this up quickly. So it starts off, Zark is there, and then Aster and Sora show up, and they duel him, and right before they're defeated, who comes in next? I'm actually going to look this up. Zark. Okay, here we go. So Sora and Aster come in first, and right before they're about to lose, Shay and Kite actually intrude on the duel, which means they lose 2,000 life points, and right when they intrude on the duel, Sora and Aster lose. And this is going to become a pattern. So Shay and Kite try to duel Zark, to no avail. It doesn't really work. Oh, excuse me. And right before they lose, Jack Atlas and Gong Strong come out of nowhere, and they intrude on the duel. And then Shay and Kite lose. It's starting to become a pattern. Then, right before they lose, Sylvio and Crow intrude on the duel. And then, right before they lose, Leo Acaba intrudes on the duel. Just Leo, though. And then Leo doesn't even get a turn. Like, he gets the 4 cards in his hand that can destroy Zark, and Zark immediately is like, Nope, I activate this card to get rid of all your magic cards that would destroy me. Sorry, you suck. Attack! And right before he loses, Declan shows up and intrudes on the duel. And Declan actually lasts a little while because he's Declan. And then right before Declan loses, Riley shows up because Riley has been kind of possessed by the spirit of Ray. And then Riley and Ray win the duel. And yeah, it's a bit of a disappointing end because it's Zark. He's a lot of fun, and they did a lot with him, and I really wanted him to stick around. And then he's just, kind of defeated. And so this brings me into my next point. Ray is nothing. She is a disappointment in this show. I will agree with the people that watch the sub. Ray is disappointing. She doesn't even fully show up. She just kind of possesses Riley, and then that's it. That's it, the end. Alright, that's enough for Ray, bye. Very disappointing with that build-up, but I will say Zark was not a disappointment. Zark was so much fun, and his duel, he only got one duel, but it was so much fun. So, yeah. Riley, I suppose Riley is also disappointing. It's like, Riley is disappointing because he's just a vessel of Ray. That's it. It's like they kind of built up through this show, Riley is better than you might think. Like, he just needs to freaking, like, unleash or something. But it's like, no, he just needs Ray. That's it. After that, things kind of go back to normal, except Riley is reverted into a baby, which is stupid. Riley is reverted into a baby, and apparently Zark has possessed Riley, which also sounds stupid. But basically, they need to make Riley smile in order for Zark to be destroyed, basically. So Zark has to be destroyed by making baby Riley smile, and he doesn't smile. And the only way to make him smile is for Yuya to duel Tane. This is stupid. It's a very stupid end to the show, and I wish it didn't happen. But the one good thing that comes from it are the duels. We get Yuya versus Dennis, a character I didn't even talk about, because he's kind of boring and doesn't do anything. We get Yuya versus Shay, a nice rematch to kind of close things out. It's nice. It's all nice and good. It's very intense. We get Yuya versus Jack again. That's really cool. And that's where Yuya starts to accept that, yes, he is Zark, but he can be better than Zark, and he can use the powers of all four of them for good, basically. And then, finally, the last episode and a half, I wish the duel was longer, but we get Yuya versus Declan. And that, I will say, is a lot of fun, because it's basically Yuya at his best with all of his, dragons and stuff, against Declan at his best with, like, all of his super Doom Kings and stuff. It's crazy. So, yeah. So, I will say, the duels are nice at the end. They're good. I just wish there was a better plot around them. The whole saving Riley thing is just kind of stupid. So, yeah, that's basically it. We're encroaching on 40 minutes on the recording. So, yeah. So, overall thoughts on Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5. I liked it. I really did like it. I know I pointed out a lot of problems with Arc 5. I will say it's a good show, but it's a flawed show. But, honestly, I still did like it. I did really like this show. It had its problems, mostly in the Synchro Dimension, and even those got resolved over time. And there was a lot of good stuff in the Synchro Dimension, too. But, yeah, I'd say this is really good. This was better. like when I, again, sort of like when I was comparing Yuya to the other main characters, it's hard to really figure out where all the shows go in terms of best and worst. I'd say the worst is still 5Ds for me. I just don't like 5Ds. It's really not bad, it's just too serious. It's way too serious, and it takes itself way too seriously for a show about card games on motorcycles. Yeah. So, I'd probably put Arc 5 above 5Ds considerably, but I probably wouldn't put it on the levels of the original series, which is amazing, or GX, which is amazing, but then started to go downhill in Season 3, or Zexal, which was really, really good. I really love Zexal. So, yeah. So, probably, if I put, like... I would probably rank them, like... Well, I don't know how to rank them, but Arc 5 is not at the bottom, but it's not necessarily towards the top, either. But it was really good, it was really fun, I really liked it, and I am cautiously optimistic for Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains, and I say that because while I've heard some production woes about it, where they've had to do a lot of clip shows and stuff because of just production problems, and I'm also not a fan of Link monsters in Yu-Gi-Oh! So I don't think, I basically have Yuya's deck, so I have a full Pendulum, Fusion, Synchro, Xyz. I have a Ritual monster in there too, excuse me, and yeah, so I don't like Link monsters, so I don't think I'm really gonna like Vrains that much, but I don't know. What I will say is that when the first episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains, the dub, the first episode of the Vrains dub does go up, I'm going to make a video on it, because it's what I do. I've done a bunch of episode reviews for the Arrowverse and like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and stuff, so I'm going to do that for Vrains when the dub finally comes out in the fall, I think, is when they said. So, yeah, that's basically it. Liked Arc 5, had some problems, but I really liked it. With all that being said, I'm Alex from 7th Hour Films, and I will see you guys next time. Take care. Hey guys, if you want to watch more of my videos, I have a playlist for my reactions to Doctor Who and my playthrough of The Elder Scrolls II Daggerfall, as well as another video you can check out. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Thanks for watching.